What if our first encounter with an extraterrestrial civilization does not begin with a friendly greeting, a message beamed across space, or a clearly identifiable spacecraft, but instead with a silent and massive object drifting through the darkness, passing by Earth disguised as nothing more than a comet? This is the bold and provocative question now being raised by one of the world's most famous and controversial astronomers. The unfolding debate surrounding the interstellar object known as 3I/Atlas has quickly escalated from a topic of scientific curiosity into one filled with speculation, intrigue, and sensational urgency. At the center of this storm stands Harvard astrophysicist Dr. Avi Loeb, a figure whose accomplishments and academic credibility are undeniable. Loeb has recently pushed the discussion into an entirely new realm by publicly stating that there is a 40% chance that 3I/Atlas may not be a natural body at all, but rather some form of alien technology, possibly even a probe intentionally sent through our cosmic neighborhood. This claim has not emerged from the fringe corners of UFO culture or from an obscure researcher searching for attention. Loeb is the former chair of Harvard's prestigious astronomy department and has published hundreds of peer-reviewed papers. He is a mainstream scientist with a long-established reputation. When he speaks, the scientific community listens, sometimes reluctantly, sometimes critically, but always with awareness that his voice carries weight. According to Loeb, this estimate of 40% is not pulled out of thin air. Rather, it is rooted in a pattern of anomalies that make 3I/Atlas unlike anything scientists have comfortably categorized before. These anomalies span its shape, trajectory, brightness, material composition, and the way it interacts with solar radiation. Each detail on its own might be dismissed as an oddity, but together they form a pattern that Loeb argues cannot be ignored. In multiple recent interviews, Loeb has gone to great lengths to explain exactly how he arrived at the figure of 40%. He acknowledges that the object could still be natural, but insists that the sheer accumulation of strange features makes the usual explanations less convincing as time goes on. He believes that scientific inquiry must be based on probabilities rather than assumptions. To him, the responsible approach is to consider every possibility, even the uncomfortable ones. While most scientists still insist that 3I/Atlas is a comet or an interstellar rock with an unusual composition, Loeb argues that dismissing the technological hypothesis outright would be intellectually dishonest. After all, humanity has never seen an object quite like this before, and to insist that it must fit into conventional categories is to assume an answer rather than search for one. One of the anomalies Loeb highlights is the object's peculiar acceleration. 3I/Atlas appears to change its speed in a way that does not match ordinary gravitational effects or the expected behavior of comets. A natural comet often accelerates due to outgassing, jets of gas escaping as the sun heats its icy surface. But 3I/Atlas shows no visible signs of such outgassing. There is no detectable tail, no plume, and no evidence of evaporating material. Yet the acceleration is still there. This, Loeb argues, is consistent with the idea of a reflective or lightweight structure, something that could be propelled by sunlight itself, like a technological solar sail. According to him, nature does not typically produce such structures, at least not based on what we understand today. Another strange characteristic is its highly elongated shape. Early measurements suggested that it could be shaped like a cigar, or possibly even like a thin disk tumbling through space. Both shapes are extraordinary when compared to natural asteroids and comets, which are usually irregular but not extremely stretched. The brightness of the object also fluctuates in a manner that suggests an unnatural level of smoothness or reflectivity. Natural objects usually have rough surfaces that scatter light in predictable ways. But 3I/Atlas seems to flash and dim in a pattern that has baffled researchers, hinting at a metallic or structured surface. In addition to these physical anomalies, Loeb points to the statistical unlikelihood of encountering such an object by chance. Before 2017, humanity had never detected an interstellar object passing through our solar system. In the span of only a few years, we have now observed 3, Oumuamua 1I, Borisov 2I, and Atlas 3I. The sudden appearance of multiple interstellar visitors raises questions about how common these objects truly are, and whether some of them might be intentionally directed rather than randomly drifting. For Loeb, 3I/Atlas stands out from these other cases precisely because it does not behave like a typical comet or asteroid. Loeb's insistence on considering alien technology as a real possibility has ignited fierce debate. Many astronomers accuse him of sensationalism, arguing that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the data so far does not justify such bold speculation. They emphasize that science must remain cautious, and that unusual behavior does not automatically imply intelligence. Some argue that there may be natural explanations we have not yet discovered, especially since our knowledge of interstellar objects is still very limited. Why jump to aliens when nature often surprises us? But Loeb counters that avoiding the alien hypothesis because it feels uncomfortable or socially risky is not scientific reasoning. It is cultural bias. He argues that humanity must be willing to confront the possibility of extraterrestrial technology with the same seriousness we give to any other scientific question. To him, ignoring a 40% probability simply because it challenges existing assumptions is more reckless than considering it. He also believes that our generation stands at a unique moment in history, one in which technology allows us to detect and analyze interstellar objects in ways that were impossible before. If alien civilizations are sending probes, intentionally or unintentionally, we now have the tools to find them, if we are willing to look. What makes this debate even more intense is how quickly it has captured public imagination. Social media, news outlets, and online forums have exploded with speculation, excitement, and fear. Some people view Loeb as a visionary who is bravely exploring a possibility others are too afraid to consider. Others view him as reckless, pushing unproven ideas that could distort public understanding of science. Yet even his critics admit that his willingness to think outside conventional boundaries has forced the scientific community to examine its own assumptions. Whether he is right or wrong, he has expanded the conversation in a way few scientists ever do. At the heart of Loeb's argument is a simple point. Science does not progress by ignoring anomalies. It progresses by studying them. If we always insist that unusual data must fit our current understanding of nature, then we will never discover anything new. Loeb is not saying that 3I/Atlas is alien technology, only that the probability is high enough to warrant serious consideration, open-minded research, and global scientific cooperation. To him, dismissing the possibility outright would be irresponsible, especially when the consequences of an interstellar intelligence may be among the most important discoveries in human history. In the end, the debate over 3I/Atlas reflects a deeper question about humanity's place in the universe. Are we alone, drifting through a silent cosmos populated only by lifeless rocks and distant stars? Or is the universe filled with other civilizations, some ancient, some advanced, some perhaps long gone, whose artifacts we may occasionally stumble upon? Loeb believes that ignoring these possibilities because they seem extraordinary is a failure of imagination and a failure of science. Whether 3I/Atlas is a natural object or a relic of alien engineering remains unknown, but one thing is certain. The question it raises has already changed the conversation about how we search for life beyond Earth. Some see it as the beginning of a new era of scientific exploration. Others see it as a distraction from more grounded research. But for many, the idea that our first contact might come not with a message, but with a mysterious, silent object passing through our skies is both thrilling and unsettling. A reminder that the universe may hold secrets we are only just beginning to uncover.